Hey guys, Bryan here from Liquid Concepts. So today we're going to talk a little bit about how to get better at hydrographics. So we've got a couple of little tips and tricks for you to hopefully up your game a little bit on the hydrographics. Now again, this is going to be very subjective because there is tons of different things that you can do to get better at hydrographics, but these are a few key points that we felt like should definitely be in the video, and so of course we're going to go ahead and show them to you. So let's get started. Number one is definitely keep a clean and organized paint booth. As you can see behind me, we've got everything all set up here, up on hooks. They're on really great swivels right here. That way they can spin all the way around, as well as we have plenty of room all the way around to get the guns and everything like that in it. So whenever you're doing a lot of your projects like this right here, or really anything, even like this right here, you always want to make sure that number one, you have a very nice and easy way of holding things, which is going to be a hook through here. And then of course you can spin it like that, or anything like this right here, because it's going to be a lot more beneficial whenever you're spraying any of the coatings that you need to spray for the hydrographics, whether it be the primer, the paint, the clear coat, or anything in between. So another tip and trick that I'd like to definitely share with you is whenever you're doing a job like this, before you even paint it, before you even do anything with it, take the part itself and try to go ahead and dip it down into the water. What that's going to do is that's going to create what we call muscle memory. So that way, as you're going down into the water, you can do different ways, different sides, different areas, starting this way, that way, however way, and try to figure out the best method to actually dip the part down into the water before you even do anything to the part. So that way, you know, whenever you actually paint it and prep it out and get everything ready to go, that everything is completely ready to go, as well as you already know how you're going to approach the item into the water first, whether it be this way or that way or this way. And knowing that will also help you in making sure that you get the first dip the right way, instead of just thinking that you can do it and then you don't actually do any practice dips first. So for example, we could take this and we can know that if we start right here and we push down, this is actually going to float. As you can tell right here, this is of course floating. So I would need to make sure that I am ready to push down into the water, because this thing is actually buoyant and pushing back. Versus if I was able to start like this and I come into the water like this right here, the whole thing is going to sink because it's filled up with water. So you always want to make sure that you account for one way or another, because if not, then you may be holding it a wrong way, and as you start to go down into the water, you're not ready to actually push that part down into the water. So always make sure that if you're not used to a part or something like that, that you can always throw it in the water first, do a couple of test dips, see how the water reacts, see what you think is going to look best. That way you know whenever you get done painting the part, you know exactly how you're going to approach this going down into the water. Another little tip and trick is sometimes you need an extra handle. And so as you can tell, we have a part like this, and of course we do have these little tabs on the back that we can hold these. So that's always really great. But let's say that you get a part like say a rear spoiler or something like that that may not have these tabs on it. So then how do you actually hold the part? And so one thing that you can do, because of course you can't hold it like that, there's no way, yeah, you can hold it like that, but you're dipping this side. So if you fold it like that, you can't, of course, hold it. So one thing that you can do is you can make what we call tape tabs. Tape tabs are super easy. They're very easy to use and they work really well. And so all we're gonna do is we're gonna take this tape right here, fold it in half, just like that, and then it creates a tab that's still sticky on this bottom side. And so now, if we take and we set this down like this, and we hold that down, now I'm able to hold the part. If I did not have these little tabs here, I'm able to make my own little tape tab right here that I can now hold, and I am a lot more efficient on how it needs to go down into the water. I can move it, I can adjust it. These are definitely going to be very helpful if you have a part that does not have any tabs like these, so that way whenever you're going down into the water, you can hold it, you can secure it, and make sure that you get a good dip. Another trick that you can do is looking at different parts. Sometimes you can combine them all into one and make one dip instead of having multiple dips all at one time. And so for instance, if we have a part like this, that would be an easy dip, one part, one dip, going down like that. But let's say that we had 100 of these and we were doing that. That would be 100 dips that I would have to do every single time. And if you're doing a dip every 3 to 5 minutes, that's about 500, 300 minutes. And so you're talking hours of work to do, say, 100 of these. Versus if we take this right here and we make a version like this, and we're able to actually start doing, say, 5 or 10 at a time. Now we've greatly condensed the amount of dips that we have to do, which means that, of course, we're batching all of our items like this, and it may be something a little bit more sophisticated than this. You don't have to just, of course, do a tape, but you can get very cheap and very inexpensive just by doing something like this right here. So, of course, now, if all of these are all going in the same direction, the same pattern, everything's the same, then now we can take and hold this right here, go straight down into the water, pull it back out. I've got, say, 5 or 10 of these done. If I've got 100 of these, that's only 10 dips. If I'm doing 10 dips and I'm doing them, say, every 5 minutes, then of course I'm looking at less than an hour of time to do 100 of these, compared to if I'm only doing one of these, you're talking multiple hours, and that's not going to be very effective for time consumption on each job. So of course, everybody needs a cutting table. Now, what we have is we actually have a cutting table, not just a piece of wood or a piece of metal. A lot of people cut on glass. I've seen a lot of different things that you can do. And of course, all of those definitely work. But the one thing is that a cutting table is really nice because of a couple of things. Number one, you can put tape on it, and of course it does not stick very well. You can peel it right up, as well as your knives do not get as dull so quickly. So if you're cutting on, say, a metal table or anything like that, then of course you're going to dull that knife blade down very, very quickly. And so of course, with the actual Hydrographics, you're always cutting film, whether it be a small piece, a big piece, or anything in between. You're always going to need to be using a knife, whether it be through scissors or a utility knife or a pocket knife, anything like that, you're always cutting. And so having the ability to have an actual HDPE cutting board type of table top, that works really well, because then it extends the life of the blades, as well as whenever you go to lay a piece down on here, it's still relatively flat. And of course, the marks in here, you don't really feel those. They don't mess with any of the actual film or anything like that. So it's a really great addition if you're able to find one of those. And of course, another technique is knowing your techniques that you're doing on each dip. Now, in a case like this right here, this has multiple different ways that you can dip this. Of course, sometimes you can just go straight down with it and then it just wraps up. Another way that you can do it is you can do half and half, where you do this half first and then you come back and you dip the other half. Now, of course, it takes a lot more time, but then again, you can also do a roll. And so, of course, you're coming in, going down, rolling it over. So there is always different techniques, and there's always more and more techniques that, of course, us and the whole industry in general is definitely figuring out with all of the different items that we're dipping every single day. A really good option for this is to actually definitely check out our YouTube videos. We have tons of videos that are all over the spectrum of any type of technique, whether it be for a gun stock or for wheels or anything in between. We kind of go over a lot of those different aspects, and that's a really great starting point on knowing what techniques to use whenever you have any parts available, whether it be a buttstock for a shotgun or a wheel for a car, or of course anything in between, interior pieces, anything like that. We kind of go over what to look for, and of course show you what you're gonna be doing, and of course, dip the part. So hopefully you guys have enjoyed this video. Of course, if you have any questions or comments, definitely leave them below. We'd love to hear from you on anything hydrographics related, as well as let me know if there's anything that you feel like we missed on how to get good at hydrographics. Of course, if you haven't already, definitely hit the subscribe button. We'd love to have you subscribe to our weekly tips and tricks, as well as there's going to be links in the description below to our website. The website has everything that you need for tanks to training to film to anything else that you might need in the hydrographics industry. We've got you covered. I'm Bryan from Liquid Concepts, and this is how we customize your world. We'll see you guys next time.